This issue sometimes have trouble finding that path. But I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. First, let me give you a little background. Of course, this is the path. This is Norwell Road, and this is the city of Byram. And as you can see, it goes kind of cross-country between the 2 points. Each point is divided into sections. Section 5, which is from Terry and Sawell Road, all the way up through about Davis Road, has been completed. It was 4-laned, repaved, the road was fixed. So that part of it has been completed. Now, we had enough money when this whole project started to buy all of the property along the right-of-way and do this part, and then we have $26 million left. Now, we had a choice with the $26 million. We could either do Section 2, which starts at Davis Road and goes right up here to approximately Parks Road, or we could do Section 1, which is from Norwell exit around John Bell Williams Airport. So it came down to an issue of who's going to get the right-of-way, which side gets the right-of-way first, and everything signed or legally taken care of so that we could move forward. In this instance, the south part has completed the right-of-way acquisition. And we're in the process now of cleaning up a few issues that we still have. But by and large, today I'm going to make a motion that we commit the funding for the parkway to begin in Section 2, which is a length of 3.24 miles, and we can begin that bidding process. So with that in mind, Mr. President, I so move that we...
Mr. President.
Okay.
Ms. Calhoun.
Mr. Fisher, there's some things that you're not aware of and that we would have to discuss in executive session. I would appreciate if you would hold off on your motion until after executive session.
Okay, we can do that.
Question, Mr. President.
Question for Mr. Stokes.
Thank you. Mr. President, I think some time back we entered into a contract with a company to verify whether or not it's feasible to complete the parkway. And I don't think we had that report to come back yet. That's the first concern. And even while we waiting on them, I thought that some of the supervisors would contact the Hinds County Economic District to get them to do some work also. I don't think we have none of those back as of this day. And finally, in terms of the money, like I told Supervisor Calhoun, I think the project is a good project in good times. But right now, we don't have the money. We're not spending whatever it is, but $9 million or whatever it is. I think the priorities got to be put. The jail got to be the first priority. And if we got $9 million, we need to make sure that we can, especially if it's 10, we can take $2 million for each supervisor district, and let's fix the streets and the roads in these districts. Instead of just doing a parkway to nowhere that's not going to be completed. So I think we're prematurely, moving too fast. And I asked somebody to come and tell us what's the status of the study. And I see the young man here, and could we bring him up, Mr. President, to find out the status?
Yes, we can bring him up, but there are some things that I think that we definitely going to have to discuss in executive session as it relates to this particular issue. But sure, we'll have him. Are you referring to Mr. Day?
Yes.
We're going to move this out of the way.
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Larry Day. I'm a representative of Malachi Financial Products, and we were some time ago, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 months ago, presented with the task of providing what Supervisor Stokes was talking about concerning a feasibility, some kind of economic or financial feasibility for the projects to determine what all the costs are associated with these products, what benefits will be associated with the products, and how the county would decide on the financing for the project. Because if there's some type of gap between what's been given to the county and what the county would need to finance the project, then we have to determine how the county would like to proceed with that as far as the financing is concerned. So we in good faith, started some of the work on this particular project. I don't know where we stand as far as being hired, because I know that we were actually taken off of it. But we're ready to move forward if that's the wish of the county, and provide you some concrete information from an economic and financial standpoint on where we stand with the cost and all the things associated with this project.
Okay, Mr. Fisher.
As I recall, that motion, there was a motion to rescind all of that, so that study actually was rescinded to be done, period.
Yeah, I understand that.
So there is no study available, there is no study in motion, there is no study underway, there is no motion to do a study, all of it has been rescinded.
I understand that. I was just making a point that we have, in good faith, started something, because we've been hired by the county in the past on different projects. Actually, we've been working with the county for the last 8 years on different projects. So we, like I said, I keep saying it's a good faith, move forward with executing some of the work to try to move this forward in hopes of being hired by them.
Okay, Mr. Stokes and then Ms. Calhoun.
Thank you. Mr. President, I heard that, after the meeting was over and come out the back and those kind of things, that they voted to rescind it. And even if that was done, Mr. President, if I remember that being clearly, and I know the young man on the front row, he said that at the meeting, Hinds County Economic Development District can do it cheaper. And some were going to contact them. And it has not happened. So somebody ought to be doing the study. If they say they took it from them, then what's the report from the Hinds County Economic Development District? Do we have a report from somebody? If not, I'm going to make a motion that we move forward with them to do a study again, whether we do it today or do it later, because we need to know. There's no need of throwing this kind of money, millions and millions of dollars, at a road that's not going to be complete, number one. And number two, again, if we got money that we take it from bonds and other places, then if the pot is $10 million, let's divide the $10 million in each district. That's $2 million for each district. And let's fix roads throughout Hinds County, which would be the city of Jackson and other cities and municipalities in the unincorporated area. That way everybody can see that progress. Thank you.
Mrs. Calhoun.
I was just going to mention that Fort Bingham's firm Malachi, who has only worked with us as loan advisors and not as consultants to conduct economic impact studies. So we have never worked with anyone to do an economic impact study, but we have worked with a local firm here in Jackson to do an evaluation of the construction costs. And we have all of that information in hand. The Economic Development District has been in contact, and they are looking at partnering perhaps with Jackson State University. I will follow up with you after this board meeting on the progress of the district.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Mr. Stokes.
Could we ask legal to give us some kind of update as to their understanding of where we are, and have they had any kind of contract with Hinds County Economic Development District, or have they spoken to me or given us anything? I haven't received anything concerning whether or not they have started to evaluate whether the feasibility of this parkway is realistic.
Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. My understanding of the status of the economic feasibility study is, yes, the motion was withdrawn with regard to Malachi to provide the study, and the board voted to allow the Hinds County Economic and Development District with not going over a certain amount of funds to develop the study. I have not been in contact with Mr. Wallace or anyone with Economic Development to determine whether they've begun any work on the feasibility study.
So would it be premature for us to do anything without getting something back from you?
Well, I'm sure Mr. Wallace could probably give the board an update on what's been done. I'm just not.
Can we call him, see can he come before the end of this meeting?
If the board so
Yes.
desires.
Please.
Okay, we have Ms. Calhoun and then Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Stokes, when bonds are issued, they are issued for a specific purpose. And you cannot just arbitrarily change the purpose without legal ramifications. Early on, the $14 million that we set aside for the construction of a garage, we changed that purpose. But when we changed that purpose, we had to go through a lot of other legal works in order to get it changed at a significant cost. And the reason we were willing to make the change and pay the cost was because we felt that with the economic development impact that this corridor would have on Hinds County was worth the change. Each time we make a change to the purpose, we have to pay bond advisors, underwriters, bond attorneys, etc. So, well, I guess it's too many more people, but we have to pay more than just one group of people. We have to pay several people to make these changes. So you can't just decide that, okay, we're going to take that money and apply it to jail. Early on, we were one of the major proponents for working with the city of Jackson to come up with additional funding to help bring the cost of providing inmate services along with helping Hinds County, perhaps, and I don't understand, perhaps, to build a new jail. I hope you have not strayed away from that idea, because I think that idea is that recommendation or suggestion is a very good.
Okay, Mr. Fisher.
This whole feasibility study has been so generally suggested that nobody really knows what they're supposed to study. How do you study the specific business environment? I mean, that's basically all that was said. So I think that, frankly, this feasibility study is just, as it's been stated and it's been brought to the board and it's been bounced around, it's a fancy term just to stall. This project has been talked about since before Mr. Freeland was born, I would imagine. Probably, I remember talking about it as an alderman in Clinton in 1991 or so, 1992, when the pathway was different. And before it was modified, I think even before that, the project was stopped for some reason and it was brought back in. This thing has been studied and restudied. It's been analyzed and reanalyzed. It's been talked about and bounced around. And the bottom line is, because it's taken so long for the county to move forward, because of all of this, all these delays and all this, let's just say delays, unnecessary delays, we kind of have our back up against the wall now with the $26 million that are involved in constructing this. Congress is looking at rescinding monies from everywhere across the nation. And we need to have this money committed. And we can stall this again with another study, or we can have some more talk, or we can do anything we want to do. But at the end of the day, we've come to the point now where we have the property and we're ready to move forward with the south part anyway. I say the south part, which is just starts at Davis Road in Byram and runs north, and ready to get started. So, I just wonder, after this feasibility study, this ambiguous feasibility study is finally presented, then what kind of stall or what kind of roadblock will be thrown out in another effort to stall? This needs to move forward because it's good for the economic vitality of the county. As I've written in an article that I sent out 2 months ago, I believe, maybe 3, all boats rise when the water rises. You may not directly benefit from it, but indirectly you do. And whether that project directly benefits Terry or Jackson or Bolton, then Raymond, Utica, and Clinton indirectly benefit. We all grow together in this county. And we need to work together toward this and not work at odds toward this.
Mr. Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The best way to work together is give each district $2 million. That way we all work together. And we can then do all the roads and streets throughout the whole county instead of one certain part of it. Now, we mentioned the $26 million that's going to be federal money, but we're not mentioning what the county had to come in for a match. Now, Mr. Felix, do you know how much they're looking at for our match to get this $26 million? All right, so we got to come with $4 million to get the $26 million. Now, even if we go get the $4 million, that's $4 million we can use in other things for the county as a whole, versus just doing money out here at a parkway that's not going to be completed. We keep saying ever since I've been here, I say it's not going to be completed. Oh, we're going to do this phase that is still not completed. To do a completed project, you're going to have to get Jackson to come on board. And Jackson not going to vote for a bond issue that's going to benefit Byram-Clinton, but they got to pay for it. Now, you know, let's not waste money. That's what I'm saying about the economic times. Times are hard. We don't need to waste money on something that's not going to benefit everyone in this county. And secondly, we said earlier, $14 million was a bond issue for parking garage and other things. We changed that. So why we can't change this? No parking garage being built. Not a single parking garage. If the people had known that you were going to take this money and try to do this parkway with it, they would have protested that bug. But they thought you were people of your word and that you were going to build a parking garage and other things. That has not happened. So again, you said when we delay and install it, I think we need to make prudent decisions when we deal with people money. And if this young man and that group can give us the study that we need, then let's do it. We don't need to sit here today and then 5 to 6 years down the road say we made a mistake, but we got to pay this money back. You know, so it's not right. I agree that let this young man again give us the study as to whether or not it's going to happen. If someone is contacting Hinds County Economic Development District, then let them also say. But we don't need to be in a hurry to throw the citizens' money down a black hole. Thank you.
Okay, we've talked about this issue for about 10 minutes now. We'll go to Ms. Calhoun, and then we'll go back to Mr. Fisher, and we'll give everybody one more round, and then we'll move on from there. Ms. Calhoun.
Supervisor Stokes, we do have the match that is required from the bond funds. Likewise, once we acquire all of the right-of-way, state aid will reimburse us for the right-of-way acquisition. So those would be additional funding that we would have in place to reapply to the construction of the parkway.
Okay, Mr. Fisher.
I think that, I just want to repeat again, my position is that all water, when the water rises, all boats rise with it. I hope it's not Jackson's position. They don't care what happens in the rest of the county, like in Clinton or in Byram. Because Clinton and Byram can take that attitude to Jackson, with Old Green, with any other number of projects that Jackson's trying to get going, as they're coming through the county and having to go through the county line. And we can, you know, I just don't want to see the county versus Jackson turning to stopping everything because of the belief that if it doesn't benefit Jackson, it's not worth having. There are other parts of the county besides Jackson. I think Jackson's an important part, and I support things in Jackson and have throughout my tenure on the board and will continue to do so. But I think that we need to have support throughout the county so that we can all grow into a better place versus just taking an isolated viewpoint that only says, unless it benefits me, I'm opposed to it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
In closing, my last statement, Mr. President.
Mr. Stokes.
In closing, Mr. President, as I stated in the beginning, it's not going to be a completed project. And everybody knows that. So why we just do certain parts and then going to spend all the money? And finally, Councilmember Calhoun said that they have the match. And it's like I said earlier, the match came from a bond that we did not complete.
We got the bond issue money to do the parking garage and other things. Taking part of that money and trying to match it, that's not right. If we're not gonna complete the bond issue that you said you were gonna do, then let's go back to the people, and I think the people will support us, taking this money, dividing it equally through the 5 districts, and let's improve the roadway and streets through each district. That way everybody will benefit, since everybody has to pay. Thank you.
Okay, we've discussed this particular issue. Is there a motion to be made? Excuse me, Ms. Barton, our board attorney.
Mr. President, I just wanted to report back to the board with regard to the request to contact Mr. Wallace. Mr. Wallace is not in town, so he's unable to appear at the meeting. However, he states if you need to call him with a specific question during this meeting, he can be reached by telephone. He does state that they have begun discussions on finding a company or persons who are able to assist with the economic feasibility study. But he can tell you in more detail on the phone. He would definitely have more information by the next board meeting for the board to consider.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Is there a motion to be made?
I think when I was up there, it was stated that we needed to do this motion after executive
After the
session.
executive
So
session.
we will hold on.
All right, we will hold this particular issue until after the executive session. Thank you very much. If you just hang around, I don't know, we'll need you for executive session, but I'll be fine. We will continue with